Get real. Get Amstrad.
Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of Face to Face here on Insidesport. I'm your host, Sanjeev Mukherjee. And joining me today, rather the person who will be face to face with me is one of world cricket's finest minds, a former Australian captain who's won the World Cup multiple times. He's literally has nothing else left to achieve as far as his cricketing CV is concerned. Yet, here he is sitting across me right there in Dubai, as he plots and plans to find a way as to how Delhi Capitals should win their maiden IPL title. The one and only Ricky Ponting, welcome back. Good to see you after such a long time. How are you?
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Yeah, everything's good. Slightly unusual circumstances we find ourselves in, obviously, in the middle of these COVID times, but it's great to be in Dubai, and it's great to be back around the Delhi Capitals again.
So how has it been for you and your family back there in Australia over the past few months? It's been a very, very tough time all over, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been particularly tough, certainly in Victoria. The whole world has done things incredibly tough. Australia, to a certain degree, in most states, has actually been quite lucky. But certainly in Victoria, we're in stage 4 lockdown now, and have been in some sort of stage 2, 3 or 4 lockdown since the middle of March. So it's not easy. It certainly wasn't easy leaving home on this occasion, leaving the 3 kids and my wife behind. But like I've said to the boys, if we're going to make those sacrifices to be here, we may as well make sure we're the best.
Absolutely. So tell me, all this while you've been at home assisting not only your kids with their studies, but also your wife with the domestic chores. Any new skills, Ricky, you might have picked up while working at home? Something we need to know about?
I'm always very careful that I don't get too good at doing certain chores around the house, because the better I get, the more that more she expects me to do them. So, no, look, I make sure that I'm not that good at picking up towels. I'm not that good at picking up dirty clothes, those sort of things. Now, look, on a serious note, it's been great to have, 6 or 7 months straight at home. That's really unusual for me to have, with my life being on the road playing as much as I did, and certainly the last 4 or 5 years as a coach or a commentator, it's unusual for me to have that length of time at home. So although it's been tough, it's certainly been really, really nice and satisfying to spend that amount of time with my kids and my wife.
Absolutely. Now, your good friend and your long-time rival on the cricket field, former Indian captain, Mr. Saurav Ganguly. Now, he himself is spearheading the BCCI's quest to conduct the IPL in the UAE. And as we speak, Ricky, Saurav is personally out there to make sure everything is in place. You must be very happy to see Saurav Ganguly take such a proactive role.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I was one of the first to congratulate Saurav on his appointment to start with, having worked with him at the Delhi Capitals through last season. We have a great relationship. We always have, right back to our playing days. And that's something that probably people don't really know or understand either. But Saurav and I always got on really well. Look, I think it's been a remarkable effort by everyone involved with the IPL and the BCCI to get this tournament to the stage that it's at now. I mean, it was only maybe two months ago, maybe 10 weeks ago, that I was sitting at home and having a lot of conversations with everyone involved, administration-wise here and management-wise at the Delhi Capitals, and everything I was hearing from them was that they thought it was really unlikely that we'd have an IPL at all. So here we are now. We're just 4 or 5 days away from the tournament getting underway, and yes, the protocols and restrictions have been really tight, and it probably hasn't been that enjoyable for the players so far. But I think once we get the tournament underway and we start playing, then there'll be some smiles on a lot of people's faces, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Now, tell me, how are the Delhi Capitals shaping up at this moment? You've got Prithvi Shaw, Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant, Shikhar Dhawan, 4 of the top Indian batting talent. You must be very happy with your top order choices, Ricky.
Yeah, look, our squad is very, very good. We had a great squad of players last year. Last season was if you'd like, a bit of a breakout season for Delhi. You know, the change of the name, the rebranding of the franchise, you know, new people in and around. And I thought the cricket we played last year was absolutely outstanding. So last year's done. We've got to move on to this year. We've got to find a way to make sure we're ultra competitive every game we play this year. But yeah, as you say, the batting side of things, certainly on the Indian side of things, shapes up really well. You know, we've added Shimron Hetmeyer, we've added Marcus Stoinis, we've added Alex Carey as overseas batsmen in there. You know, Rabada remains, which is a huge weapon for us. Andrich Nortje comes into our squad, who's been incredibly impressive in everything that he's done since he's been here. You know, and then we added Ajinkya Rahane and Ravi Ashwin to our squad as well, two very, very experienced Indian cricketers, two very experienced IPL players. And, you know, so I'm really happy with the squad. But as I always say, and I've said to our boys right the way through, every team right now will be sitting down saying that they're really happy with their squad and they've got a great squad of players. It's the team that's going to manage themselves the best and certainly make the most of big situations in games that's going to win this IPL.
Absolutely. And Ricky, as you speak, I must concede yet again, it's such a joy whenever we speak to you because you make the work of the anchor so easy. You're so clear in your head and your thoughts when you talk about cricket. And that's what I've been missing for a while. Now tell me, you must have sat down with Rishabh Pant and shared your thoughts. I mean, he's one such batsman, not only the IPL or Indian cricket, but in world cricket, who can single-handedly change the face of a match. Have you told him that he has a very, very big responsibility this time?
No, look, Rishabh's very aware of my expectations to him and what his expectations are, certainly from all of his teammates as well. But he's also the sort of person that you don't want to push too hard. You don't want to push too much. You know, I make sure I'm really hard on him with the way that he goes about his preparation and how he prepares and how he thinks about his cricket. But once it's game time, you know, he's that sort of guy that it almost doesn't matter how well they train. You know, when the game comes around and the situation in the game comes around, that he's going to get the job done for you more often than not. So, yeah, look, for me, I've got a great relationship with Rishabh. As I said, he knows what I expect of him. He knows what his team expects of him, and we just got to get him prepared to go out and play. And right now, as I said, 4 days or 5 days before our first game, he'll be ready to play in that first game against the Kings 11.
So tell me, Ricky, I'm sure you wouldn't mind me asking this. You're welcome not to answer. Will you play your best batsman at number 3? I mean, if you're to open with Prithvi and Shikhar, I mean, who would be your number 3? Will it be your top batter, the one person you have in your mind, or would you perhaps take a punt by looking at the situation and sending up somebody like a Stoinis or Alex Carey up the order?
Yeah, well, our batting order it'll be fluid, if you like. That's probably the best way, and it'll be flexible. I think you need to be in this game. You know, depending on what bowlers have already bowled from the opposition team. I think the big part of the coach's job and all of the coaches when the game actually starts is trying to read what the opposition are going to do and when they might want to use their bowlers. And if we can work that out, then we know what batsmen we should be able to send. I mean, it's, you know, even the whole left-hand, right-hand combination thing is something that we want to try and achieve through this IPL. You know, we've got Shikhar, you know, we've got Hetmeyer, we've got Carey, we've got Rishabh. So we've got a lot of left-handers there. Then you put Prithvi, Rahane, Iyer, Stoinis. We've got right-handers as well. So yeah, it's all about trying to mix and match and coming up with the right match up for you as a team. So that's how we're going to be. That's how we're going to play. And we think if we get those things right, it's going to give us a good chance of winning more games than we lose.
Right. In any case, we'll have to wait till the first game of Delhi Capital to see what would be of playing 11, your actual combination. But I'll take this liberty to ask you, Ricky, in all fairness, how does Ajinkya Rahane fit into your scheme of things? Is he an automatic selection in the first 11?
No, he's not an automatic selection. And, I've already spoken to him about that. That was one of the first conversations I had when I landed here with Jinx was about, one, about the expectations of him and how I want him to play, and two, some areas that I thought I could work with him to actually improve his T20 batting. I didn't know Jinx that well before I arrived, but to be honest, he has not put a foot wrong. His training and his preparation has been absolutely outstanding. I'd like to think that he'd probably say that some of the things I've been talking to him about have made him a better player already. But he's right now probably arguably been our standout batsman right the way through. All the guys at the top have been great. I mean, Prithvi's in sensational touch. Shikhar's in really good touch. Shreyas, I think, has probably had the best 12 months of his life coming into this IPL. So he's obviously confident as well. But look, Jinx has not done a thing wrong. And he gives us that other option. As I said, he's not an automatic selection, but definitely right now he's someone that's in our calculations for the first game.
Right. And I hope what you said is taken in all fairness, because these days, as you and me both well know, that the media certainly wants to take out news points and they make a big fuss about something individuals say. But having said that, I'm not going to ask you, Ricky, about who are your first choice for overseas players. I won't ask you. But when you look at somebody like a Shimron Hetmyer, I'm sure you have got a lot of options because he's very good. He's been in good nick. He gives you a good option for number 5. But are you perhaps, Ricky, slightly bothered by maybe the lack of firepower down the order? Would you have rather had somebody, one of your favorites in the Australian team, somebody like a Glenn Maxwell?
No, look, that's the way the auction works out. You have certain guys that you target sort of going into the auction. You have option 1, option 2, option 3. Even sometimes more than that. I mean, you've only got to go back and look through the auction to realise that we did have a really good run at Maxwell. At the end of the day, we just ran out of money. We couldn't afford him in the auction. But Hetmyer was someone else that we held in really high regard, and we're exceptionally happy that we've got him in our middle order. Now, maybe he's not batting at number 5 or number 6. Maybe he's batting somewhere higher in the order. They're the things that we've got to try and work out. But the other challenge we have, Sanjeev, right now is we still don't know which overseas players we'll have available for the first game. The BCCI haven't told us yet if the players coming from England are going to have a quarantine period. If they do have that 6-day quarantine period, then that would rule them out of our first game, which would be unfortunate. But so I've been pushing our management on a daily basis just to keep pushing the BCCI, so at least we know what guys we've got available for selection in that first game.
Absolutely. Just a last couple of questions before I let you off. Considering the sort of surfaces out there which your team will be playing on, and the very, very warm temperatures, hot temperatures. Now, you've got Rabada, you've got Ishant, you brought in Daniel Sand from the BBL, who's done exceptionally well there. Do you think you have all bases covered as far as your first bowling department is concerned, or do you still think that maybe death bowling is still a concern for the capital?
No, so we've got Nortje, you can add into that group as well. Andrik Nortje, who's if you talk about guys that have been impressive since they've arrived, he's been easily our standout fast bowler. I mean, he's seriously quick. He's pushing the 150k bracket, and he can bowl, back of a length, bowl a hard length, which is what you want on these wickets. He bowls a very good Yorker, and he's got some good variations with his slower stuff. So, with him, Rabada, Ishant. We've even added someone like Mohit Sharma. If we're worried about death bowling, there's not been many better through the history than Mohit Sharma at closing out death overs. You can put Chemo Paul into that as well, who did a great job for us last year, albeit probably the last game that he played in the Eliminator. And Marcus Stoinis has been used by Australia in the World Cup as someone that can bowl some death overs. So, and Ashwin. I mean, Ashwin's death record as well in the IPL is very good. So, look, I'm not concerned with what we've got there. Obviously, the makeup, we can't play all of those guys in the one team, and it's about working out what the makeup's going to be for that first game and making sure we've got plenty of options to bowl in the power play, the middle overs, and obviously the death overs as with the ball become very important. But Rabada last year was probably the standout in that region. I mean, him and Malinga, as the tournament went on, were probably the two best death bowlers. And he's turned up fit and fresh and raring to go. So he becomes, well, as he already knows, I mean, he's one of our big guns and someone that we need at his absolute best to win the tournament.
Absolutely. We just spoke about the death overs. In fact, this interview is now in its death overs and its final over. Last couple of questions, Ricky. Let's have some fun, because you've been one of the most straight talkers as far as world cricket is concerned. Now, I'm gonna pose a question to you, not as a news point, but let's have some fun. I know you've spoken to Ravi Ashwin about it, but let me give you a scenario. It's possibly the last ball of the IPL final. Delhi Capitals is there, and Ashwin is bowling. And your rival team, the batting team, they need 2 or 3 runs to win. You need the wicket or to stop 2 or 3 runs. And the non-striker has charged maybe away from the wicket. He's already halfway down the wicket. Is Ravi Ashwin permitted to mankad the non-striker to benefit the team and try and win the IPL? I want Ricky Ponting's answer on this one.
Yeah, well, it's a good question to throw at me, and I'll answer it probably. I've probably got 3 or 4 answers for this one already because I've been thinking about this for about a month. So the first and the simple thing is that I'm not going to bowl Ashwin the last over of the game. let's put it that way. You take it out of his hands altogether. Now, look, Ash and I, we did a podcast a couple of weeks together, and that was actually the question that he posed to me. What would I expect him to do in that situation? And I actually said to him that I wouldn't want him to mankad. I think that would be the most hollow feeling of all time, to win an IPL from a mankad. But look, at all this stuff, it's all completely... they're all hypothetical situations. And I've been pretty vocal even since the headline actually hit the press a month ago about my expectations of Ash when he joins the Delhi Capitals. And although the mankad is a very simple, plain law in the game, it's one rule and law right now that I'm not happy with, and I do sit on a rules and laws committee with the MCC. So. What we have to do is we have to stop batsmen cheating. And right now, certainly late in games, batsmen are cheating. They are leaving their crease and they're pinching 1 or 2 yards, which is not acceptable. But, I think that's the part of it. It's not so much the act of a mankad. It's we have to try and eradicate that from even being an option in our game. So, but going back to what you said first and asking me the question about what would I want, and I've told Ash this, I wouldn't want him to mankad. I wouldn't want him to do that on the last ball of an IPL. He knows that. We've had that conversation. I know this will probably go out into the media. This will be written up in every newspaper. Look, we have spoken about that together. That's been out on his podcast for a couple of weeks now. And but there, I think, referees, umpires. I think the umpires, even in the games when they're standing, they have to be watching the batter as well if they can, or they need to be getting a signal through in their ear from the third umpire to let the batsman know not to be cheating, because that's what they are doing eventually.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Fabulous listening to you and your thoughts, very clear thoughts. One final word, and this has got nothing to do with the IPL, but it is an issue which is being discussed all across the world cricket. Now, your former mate in the Australian team and present Australian coach, Justin Langer, he's admitted, and I quote, that the national team did not commit enough time to understanding and learning about the Black Lives Matter issue before choosing not to take a knee prior to the first game since the movement entered world cricket in a very big way earlier this year. Now, Michael Holding, he has not liked this attitude of the Australian team, and Holding says, and I quote, "Now Australia come here and I see another lame statement from the Australian captain." Obviously, he is referring to Aaron Finch, who's saying that he and the Australian captain have spoken and they have decided not to take a knee. Holding has also said, "I would hope that anyone who gets involved in something like this does it because they want to get involved." How do you react to this, Ricky?
Yeah, I actually caught some of those comments actually late last night. We got back from training at about 10:30 or 11 p.m. last night. I just happened to be scrolling through some cricket chat, and I saw that the statement that Aaron Finch had made on behalf of the Australian team, and also what Michael Holding had to say back. And I think what Aaron was trying to say was he felt, well, I'm almost re-quoting what he said, was that, maybe more time and effort be put into the education on this side of stuff than maybe making a stance and making a protest. I think that's what he was trying to say. So, it's the one thing about Justin Langer. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. If he thinks he's made a mistake, or thinks any of his players have made a mistake, or think Cricket Australia or the game has made a mistake, then he'll most definitely get on the front foot and talk about it, which it sounds like what he's done. So, look, if they have overlooked anything, then I'm sure that there'll be, as he said, maybe they should have paid some more attention to it. But the fact that Aaron Finch was able to come out and make a statement like he did suggests to me that they had spoken about that as a group. And, when it's not, for mine as well, it's not just about the Australian cricket team. It's not just about those guys that's there. It's about Australian cricket, and it's about the world game. So, I'm not sure what the England team thought about it. I'm not sure if it was something that was discussed between the Australian and the England teams before that first one-day game came around. But, obviously it's a huge issue in world society right now, and whatever us as cricketers can do to help that cause or do whatever we can around that cause, then we certainly should be talking about it.
Absolutely. Ricky Ponting, as always, it's not just a pleasure, but a privilege. And of course, always an education talking to you, talking cricket with you and listening to you and try to learn more about the game. I have to say this to you because a lot of Delhi Capitals fans who are not able to go and watch the games in the stadium, they'll be watching from home. I'm sure you'll have all their support. I keep wishing you and the Capitals a great IPL. May you have the most success possibly, and may your plans work out to the best of what you want out of this particular IPL. Stay safe, stay well, Ricky. It's always a pleasure talking to you again.
Thanks for all your well wishes, mate. It's great catching up. I'll hopefully speak to you again through this tournament.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
ये तो मेरी बात सुनती नहीं. Thank God Amstrad तो सुनता है. Put on the AC.